Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really locked in on a pretty thrilling turn of events in the basketball playoffs.
Yeah.
We're going to unpack Game 6 between the Houston Rockets and the Golden State Warriors.
Okay.
A 115-107 win for Houston that, well, it forces a decisive Game 7. We've got this ESPN breakdown we watched, and we'll use that to kind of understand the key moments.
All right, let's get right to it then. So heading into that fourth quarter, things were tight. Rockets up 86-84.
Super tight. Felt like anyone's game.
Absolutely. Could have swung either way, with just a couple of possessions.
Exactly. But what happened next was pretty remarkable, actually. For the first, 8 minutes and 7 seconds of the fourth?
Yeah, something like that.
The Warriors, they couldn't score. Only 5 points in that whole stretch.
Points.
Meanwhile, the Rockets, they go on this, blistering 20-5 run.
Yeah, that's a game changer right there. A huge momentum shift.
Totally seismic. And now, bam, series tied 3-3. Back to Houston for Game 7. Winner take all.
And what's really fascinating here, I think, is the historical pressure cooker the Warriors are in now.
Right.
They're staring down the possibility, the very real possibility, of being just the 14th team ever to lose a best-of-7 after being up 3-1.
That's huge. That adds such a layer, doesn't it?
No, absolutely. A massive historical context hanging over Game 7.
It really does. And the ESPN guys we watched, they really highlighted how Houston just grabbed control, dictating the tempo, the pace, especially in that fourth quarter.
Yeah.
It feels like those young Rockets, maybe they had some nerves early on.
Sure, understandable.
Those seem gone now. They're playing with this real confidence.
That early hesitation, it feels like it's completely evaporated. And think about it. Holding the Warriors, that Warriors offense, to 107
Speaks volumes.
really does. It says so much about Houston's defense, their intensity. They use their physicality, their depth, their length. It all just disrupted Golden State.
The video really emphasized that, too. Like the Rockets winning loose balls, getting those crucial second chance points.
Yeah, hustle plays.
They just made the Warriors look uncomfortable, really took them out of their rhythm.
And this was a huge chance for Golden State. Close it out, get home court for the next round.
And they let it slip?
Big time. That's a major missed opportunity. And now they've had 2 shots at ending this series and failed both times.
That's got to weigh on them mentally.
For sure. It could take a toll. And you have to wonder about momentum now. Feels like it's all shifted,
Yeah.
All the energy, the belief seems to be with Houston right now.
The ESPN analysis also touched on maybe a lack of cohesion for the Warriors from the start. Mentioned a specific play, I think Draymond Green and Jalen Green, early on.
Right, I remember that.
Seemed kind of indicative of maybe not being fully locked in or maybe some friction. I don't know.
Yeah, those little moments, they can sometimes signal bigger issues, can't they? A team just not quite clicking. But beyond that one play, their offense just felt disjointed.
Yeah.
Like they were settling a lot, taking tough, contested shots instead of really working the ball for something easier.
Error percentage looks.
Exactly. And the spacing often looked cramped, which, helps the defense.
Boy, it lets them load up.
And defensively, they had trouble stopping dribble penetration. The Rockets' guards were getting downhill.
Leading to scores or fouls.
Yep. So even though it was only a 2-point game after 3,
The vibe is off.
yeah, the overall feel from that ESPN reaction was just Warriors looked out of sync.
Okay, let's talk coaching a bit. Steve Kerr went with a more defensive lineup to start.
Right.
And there was talk about maybe using Gary Payton II on Fred VanVleet.
Yeah, the idea was there.
But didn't quite work out that way, did it?
No, not at all. VanVleet was, exceptional again. Led the Rockets to 29 points.
They kept calling him dynamic in the breakdown.
He was absolutely dynamic. And what's really striking is it wasn't just him. All 5 Rockets starters played phenomenally well.
Contributions across the board.
Big time. Even Dillon Brooks, maybe not his biggest scoring night, but defensively, physically, huge impact.
And it's interesting how they scored. Rockets, 35 field goals, but drew, 33 free throws?
Yeah, 33 free throws. And they hit them. Very efficient.
Well, for the Warriors, it felt like almost all the offense ran through Curry and Butler.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
That lack of scoring punch from others really hurt them.
Especially when Steph and Jimmy weren't, superhuman.
Right. And that zone defense the Rockets used seemed to really bother the Warriors.
They talked about attacking it, but...
Yeah, talk is one thing. Executing against it is another. They struggled to find consistent openings. Seemed to settle for threes often.
And the Rockets coach made some moves too, right? Smaller lineups sometimes with Jabari Smith Jr.
Yep, for more offense. And bringing Steven Adams in.
Ah, yeah, Adams. Then Kerr tried the hack-a-shack on him.
Which is always a gamble.
Always a roll of the dice.
And this time, it kind of backfired, didn't it? Adams actually scored pretty well from the line, 9 for 16.
Not what the Warriors wanted.
Definitely not. So, yeah, the overall takeaway from that ESPN analysis was Rockets largely dictated things in this game.
But
you got to respect the Warriors' pedigree, their experience. You can never totally count them out.
Never. Champions find ways. But the stats from Game 6 are pretty telling. Warriors shot just 41% from the field.
Yeah, and that's been their average the last 3 games. 41%.
Against a team playing like Houston is right now, that's probably not going to cut it.
Not sustainable. And look at the shot selection. Almost half their shots, 49%, were threes.
Wow.
And they only made 30% of them.
So even though they're historically the better shooting team.
Right. In this game, they only made 3 more threes than Houston. That suggests they got kind of 3 happy when shots weren't falling.
Meanwhile, Houston's strategy seemed clear. Attack, attack, attack the paint.
Relentlessly. That was their focus. Getting dunks, backdoor cuts, crashing the offensive glass.
Second chance points.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Lots of second chance opportunities. Now, Adams did provide some rim protection for them.
Sure, he's a presence.
But Houston just kept coming, finding ways through movement and just sheer physicality.
Okay, let's really break down that fourth quarter. It started fast, right? VanVleet hits a 3 almost immediately.
Like 6 seconds in.
Yeah.
Bang! Huge momentum shot right there.
Sets the tone instantly.
For sure. And then you saw Jalen Green driving baseline hard.
Yeah.
Shot didn't fall, but they got the offensive rebound, put it back. That effort, those 11 offensive boards for the game, that tells a story.
It really does. And we absolutely have to talk about Alperen Sengun.
Mm-hmm.
Just dominant against Jimmy Butler.
Oh, Sengun was just outstanding. What was it? 21 points, 14 rebounds, 6 assists.
Those are monster numbers.
Absolutely. The ESPN guys were raving, calling him a superstar in the making.
You can see why. He seems to be growing every game in this series. More confident, more assertive.
Totally taking over at times.
And that whole surge early in the fourth let Houston build that double-digit lead.
Which is apparently their magic number.
Right. That stat was wild. ESPN pointed out when the Rockets get up by 10 at any point this season, they're 51-0.
51-0, that's unbelievable.
What do you think is behind that? How do they close so well?
Well, I think it's probably a mix of things, right? Their youth, their athleticism, they can keep that energy high.
Don't let teams back in easily.
Exactly.
Oh.
Plus, it suggests they stay focused. They execute when they have the lead, no complacency.
Makes sense.
And another big difference in Game 6 seemed to be the role players for Houston.
Stepping up.
Big time. Bench guys, supporting starters, they all shipped in, made meaningful plays. Can't really say the same for the Warriors consistently, outside of Curry and Butler.
Moses Moody had some moments off the bench, I guess.
Yeah, Moody was solid. But beyond him, the scoring wasn't really there from the supporting cast.
And it felt like the Warriors' offense got stuck. Predictable.
Yeah, stagnant is a good word. Seemed like too many threes, not enough driving and kicking like we sometimes see from them.
Or post-ups for Butler. Or that split action they run.
Right. We didn't see much of that. Why do you think they went away from it?
Well, you got to give Houston's zone defense credit.
Oh, absolutely. That
Yeah.
zone deserves a lot of credit. It clogged things up, made those inside passes tougher.
Seemed to force turnovers, too, deflections.
Especially against their non-shooters, yeah.
Mhm.
Put them in tough spots. And look, even Steph Curry had a rough night shooting.
9 for 23. 6 for 16 from 3. That's not him.
Not typical Steph, no. So you really have to commend the Rockets' D-focused, effective, especially when it mattered most in the fourth.
The sheer numbers kind of showed the difference in shot quality, too. Warriors took more shots, 90-78.
Yeah, but what kind of shots?
Exactly. The ESPN breakdowns said a lot were rushed, contested threes.
It looked like Houston's pressure was pushing their offense way out, like near half court sometimes.
Running the clock down, forcing tough looks.
Right. Now, did Golden State hit some crazy difficult shots late in the clock? Yeah. Peyton, Butler made a couple. But it felt like Houston was almost willing to live with those.
Yeah.
Like, okay, if you make that, fine. But you can't win doing that consistently.
That's not a sustainable offense.
Precisely. And assists were even, 26 each, which is okay for Houston, but probably lower than Golden State wants, right? Suggests the ball wasn't moving like usual.
And the analyst noted Houston seemed okay letting Sengun go one-on-one sometimes.
Showed trust in him.
while the Warriors seemed to go away from their Curry-centric motion offense.
Yeah, more iso ball with Draymond or Butler holding it.
Which just slows things down, eats clock, doesn't really fit their usual style.
No, it felt like they were constantly scrambling, settling for last-second shots. Like, just not a good sign for offensive flow.
And it's pretty telling, isn't it, that Warriors stat? 4 and 30 when trailing after 3 quarters.
Even when only down by 1 point, like in this game.
Yeah. It suggests they really struggle to flip that switch in the fourth if things aren't already clicking.
Absolutely. They need that rhythm early.
Okay, finally, we got to circle back to Fred VanVleet, his impact.
Undeniable.
The ESPN guys basically credited him with changing the whole series, almost single-handedly.
You can see the argument. After maybe a quiet start to the series,
Right.
the last 3 games, he's been on fire from 3, 18 for 27.
Incredible shooting, just lights out. What sparked that turnaround?
Confidence? Maybe. Just finding his rhythm. He's playing with such poise. Game 6 overall, 29 points, 8 boards, 8 assists. Perfect from the line.
Filling the stat sheet.
Leading. He's that champion presence, that veteran leader they needed, making plays, hitting big shots. Huge.
So wrapping this up, Game 6 really came down to Houston's dominant fourth quarter.
Yeah, fueled by their physicality, their defense.
And just star turns from VanVleet and Schengen.
Absolutely. While the Warriors, despite all that experience, they just struggled offensively. Shot selection, execution, especially against that zone.
It really highlights some key playoff lessons, doesn't it? Like, you got to adapt your strategy.
Definitely. And how much role players stepping up matters.
And just the mental toughness needed in these huge games.
For sure. And the momentum swings. Shows how fast the story can change in a 7-game series.
So now, Game 7. Back in Houston. The big question, I guess.
Yeah.
Can the Warriors, the champs, find that offensive rhythm again? Avoid that historic 3-1 collapse?
Or do the Rockets, playing with all this confidence, finish the comeback?
What adjustments do they both make? That's going to be fascinating to watch.
Definitely something for everyone to think about heading into the decider.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.